So acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe, he's the one who took over after Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle resigned last week. So he's the new guy. And it turns out he was directly involved in denying additional security resources and personnel, including counter snipers, to former President Trump's rally events. He was grilled today in the Senate. Let's go over some of what has happened. So first of all, let's actually go ahead and here's the story from Real Clear Politics. Let's go ahead and look at this. So they're reporting that acting Secret Service chief played key role in limiting resources for Trump. Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe was directly involved in denying additional security resources and personnel. Despite repeated requests by the agents assigned to Trump's detail in the 2 years leading up to his July 13th attempted assassination, according to several sources familiar with the decision-making. And yet this guy gets promoted. I mean, that's what's going on inside of the Secret Service. And we're going to get to the culture of it. There's a leaked email that has been since deleted by the Secret Service that has come out. It's actually a counter sniper who's been with the force for over 20 years. He says there's a real problem with the leadership inside of the Secret Service. And that leadership, that failure of leadership has led to this issue where they're not giving the protection to the people they're supposed to be protecting. They're not getting, they're making decisions, for example, on whether or not to have counter snipers at various events based on how far the counter snipers have to drive. That's literally in their decision making, not where the threats are. You would think that if you are Donald Trump and you're going around the country and you're doing rallies, you would think that the Secret Service would want to protect you no matter where you are, even in the world. But instead, they actually decide on how many counter snipers they're going to assign to your event and whether or not they're even going to assign them based on how far they have to drive to get to your event, not based on the threat level. That's what has gone on inside of the Secret Service. So this guy gets a promotion. Says that it was Rowe's decision alone to deny counter sniper teams to any Trump event outside of driving distance from D.C., these sources asserted. The Secret Service has not responded to several questions from Real Clear Politics about decisions to deny or limit security resources and personnel, including counter snipers to Trump's events. It said at first, now here's where it gets interesting. At first, the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania had no Secret Service sniper teams assigned to it. But at the last minute, agency officials reversed course and decided to add 2 snipers to the outdoor event. And it's still unclear whether there were just 2 counter snipers or 2 two-manned teams for a total of 4 individuals. So they just got the number 2, is what's being reported, but they're not sure if it's 2 snipers or 2 two-man teams. So far, there's been no explanation as to why agency officials made the late counter sniper assignments to the Butler event. As Real Clear Politics previously reported, the late decision to add the 2 counter snipers cut short the time the team had to conduct a detailed on-site survey in advance of the Butler rally. Such a survey would usually take 2 to 3 days to complete, but the counter snipers had only 1 day to complete that critical advance work. So that could have been why, that's definitely one of the failures as to why the Secret Service wasn't able to spot this 20-year-old kid who had backpacks and bikes and guns, was able to climb on top of a roof that was just a clear shot of Donald Trump's head. They missed it. How? That's what everybody wants to know. So acting Director Ronald Rowe gets grilled today in the Senate. Let's go ahead and watch some clips. Let's start off with Mike Lee. Senator Mike Lee from Utah did a pretty good job of questioning him, asking him, why was Trump even allowed to go onto the stage when there was these known threats? They knew about the threat 90 minutes before Trump took the stage. Why was he then allowed to take the stage if this known threat was out there? Also, he asks a very interesting question about why were there 8 shell casings around his body that were found when it was reported that he was taken out after his first shot? Watch this.
Why was President Trump allowed to take the stage at 6:02 p.m., exactly 17 minutes after multiple suspicious person reports were provided, complete with photos and information suggesting that the assailant had a rangefinder, something that ordinary people don't use in this kind of circumstance?
Senator, again, it was suspicion, not weapon, or there was never communication of that there was an individual with a gun or threat or other bad intentions.
How many suspicious person reports did you receive that day?
I'll get back to you on the exact number, but there were other individuals that came to the attention of law enforcement that day.
Would President Biden ever be allowed on stage under similar circumstances with an unresolved set of multiple suspicious person reports provided, including indicating that there was a rangefinder involved?
Senator, I can tell you that a suspicious person on the outer perimeter with local law enforcement attempting to locate would happen, but I would need more information as far as whether or not we would allow the president to go on or off. Again, for us, it comes down to weapon, a potential threat. Is the individual carrying an IED? Is there a weapon? Is there some other factor that now ramps up our attention to
Understood.
let's
Understood.
hold off on this?
If there were 8 shell casings found next to the assailant's body, but he was neutralized after the first shot, where did those other shots come from? Where did the other shots go?
As far as the assailant's shooting?
Yes. So did the assailant get out 8 shots, or were those shell casings left from the day before? Where did they come from?
The shooter, Senator, we believe fired 8 rounds. We had the shooting reconstruction team go out there for a period of days and collect all that. So we have bullet holes, bullet fragmentation, all taken back, and we're still putting together the trajectory and ballistic analysis, although we do have fragments of the bullets, and bullets have been collected in the distance from the shooter's weapon.
Gotcha. It's my understanding that there was a sniper team assigned to a window with complete overlook, complete view of the roof, the same rooftop, the sloped rooftop where the shots were fired. It's also my understanding, according to some whistleblower accounts, that post was abandoned. What can you tell me about that? Why was it abandoned?
So I saw that from the colonel's testimony, sir, and it's something that I've asked and our mission assurance is getting to the bottom of. And there were two-man counter-sniper teams from the locals that were in that AGR building.
And so at some point they just left?
That I don't have an answer for you on that, Senator, but it seems to me that if even one of them left, there should have been remaining some additional eyes left in that building.
Yep. That seems like something that maybe should be one of the very first questions you address. I'm actually surprised that you don't know that already, and I'd ask that you submit to us in writing what you learn as soon as you learn it. Will you commit to that?
Yes, sir.
So he goes on actually with a really great line of questioning. In fact, most of the senators tonight, or today, I should say, did have pretty good lines of questioning for this guy. And there's, like I said, wondering if he's going to end up stepping down. Josh Hawley asked him, who has been fired over this? Has any accountability been assigned to anyone? And Director Rowe says, no, nobody has been fired. There's been no accountability. I mean, besides, I guess, Director Kimberly Cheadle, but she certainly wasn't the only one who made these sorts of decisions. But here's Josh Hawley now asking about why the post that would have been able to see this sniper was abandoned. And the reasoning why it was allegedly abandoned was because it was too hot. Watch this.
Well, whistleblowers tell me that, in fact, law enforcement were stationed to be on that roof and that law enforcement abandoned their post because it was too hot. Is that accurate?
Senator, I have heard that as well. They posted up inside. And I think moving forward, as I said earlier, we're going to ensure that state and local counter snipers are on roofs.
But do you know if someone was supposed to be on the roof? Do you know if someone was in fact? That's what the whistleblowers tells me. That may or may not be accurate. Do you know that to be the fact? Was somebody posted to the roof, local law enforcement or whomever?
I do not know that to be a fact.
Well, can I ask you why you don't know that?
Again, Senator, we are looking at this, and they should have been on that roof. And the fact that they were in the building is something that I'm still trying to understand.
I just want to express my frustration, Director, that 17 days or whatever it's been, that whistleblowers are telling us more than you are, and you don't know, you haven't ascertained if there was supposed to be law enforcement on the roof. That seems like a pretty basic fact. I'm also told that local law enforcement suppliers offered the Secret Service drones, and you declined them. Is that true?
So, Senator, one, I've been very transparent and forthcoming.
Your agency has not been transparent and forthcoming, so please, let's not go there.
I have been forthcoming, sir.
That remains to be seen. You've been on the job a few days. So far, you've fired nobody. Now, the drones.
Thank you,
Were
sir.
you offered drones?
Senator Hawley.
So there was an offer to fly a drone on that day.
And why did you deny it?
Again, I think the ability of local law enforcement to provide an asset, we probably should have taken them up on it if it was offered.
Okay, so also Ted Cruz grills him and asks him. Now, I'm not sure if I totally agree with Ted Cruz on this one, but he does grill Acting Director Rowe and asking him whether or not there's a discrepancy between how many Secret Service are surrounding Biden versus Donald Trump. If there are fewer around Donald Trump, here's what he had to say.
The airport.
What was the
and
relative size of the Trump detail compared to the detail that is assigned to the president or the first lady?
Senator, the former president travels with a full shift, just like the president.
What's so the exact same size? Is that your testimony that President Trump had the same size detail that President Biden has?
On the day of in Butler, the agents surrounding him, it is the same number of agents surrounding the president today. There is a difference between a sitting president who also not only
Hold on, you're using president in a way that is not clear. Is it your testimony that in Butler, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump had the same number of agents protecting him that Joe Biden has at a comparable event?
I'm telling you the shift, the close protection shift surrounding.
That's a yes
what
or
you
no.
asked me, Senator, and I'm trying to answer it.
You are not answering it. Is it the same number of agents or not?
Senator, there is a difference between the sitting president of the United States.
Then what's the difference?
The difference?
2x, 3x, 5x,
National
10x?
Command Authority to launch a nuclear strike, sir.
I'm not
there are other assets
how many more
travel
agents?
with the president that the former president will
you are
not get.
refusing to
but
answer
the number of Secret Service agents protecting him.
Stop interrupting me.
Go ahead,
You
Senator.
are refusing to answer clear and direct questions. I am asking the relative difference in the number of agents between those assigned to Donald Trump and those assigned to Joe Biden. I'm not asking why you assign more to Joe Biden. I'm asking, is the difference, is it 2x? Is it 3x? Is it 5x? Is it 10x?
Senator, I will get you that number.
Okay. A sitting U.S. president should probably have the most Secret Service around them, whether they be Democrat or Republican. It's not a partisan issue. It's the fact that they are the sitting president of the United States. They're the ones with the current power of the government in their hands. So it's kind of important that they're protected. That's the entire point of the Secret Service. So I don't agree. So Ted Cruz, in this particular, for one, I didn't feel like his question was that clear. Even I didn't quite understand what he was asking. The director was answering it saying that the number of Secret Service detail that are around a person, so when the person travels around from point to point, he's saying that Donald Trump travels with the full detail. Joe Biden travels also with the full detail. And when I say travel, I mean even just going around in Washington, D.C., just going places. I think the discrepancy came to now the number of Secret Service guards that would be at a similar event, this particular event, how many Secret Service would be at an event if Joe Biden were there versus an event where Donald Trump is there. And he's wanting to get that number. How many more Secret Service would have been there? Had it been a Joe Biden event, the sitting president of the United States, how many more Secret Service would have been at that event guarding and watching out, like counter snipers and whatnot? How many of those? I think that's a fair question to ask. I'm just not so certain if the answer matter. How much does that answer matter? Obviously, I mean, I think, come on, guys. Obviously, the sitting president of the United States should have the most security. That's just the way it goes. Candidates are also very important. They're all obviously very high value. You certainly want them totally and completely protected, but I don't think they're as high value in that moment as obviously the president of the United States. So I'm not sure if an answer. I mean, I guess if it's a wild discrepancy and it's way more would have gone to Joe Biden, then maybe we could start asking some questions there. But anyway, the point being with this is you've got a Secret Service that is in disarray. The Secret Service leadership is not doing their job. The Secret Service is not answering the questions. It's been 17 days. They're unable to really fully answer the questions. They're saying, well, we're still doing our investigation. How much longer do you need to do an investigation? You've had long enough. They don't want to answer the questions because unfortunately it's the leadership who's going to have to take the fall. Look at this email that leaked. This has been deleted. And this was actually asked It was Marsha Blackburn actually asked Director Rowe about this email being deleted. His response to this email, well, I'll tell you what his response was after I read you this email. So this is from a Secret Service counter sniper. He says, and he wrote this to he sent this email Monday night to the entire uniform division, saying that he's not going to stop speaking until the 5 high-level supervisors, there's one of them down, he says, are either fired or removed from their current position. So he says, thank you for backing and support, I'm not stopping until 5 high-level supervisors, one down, that's Kimberly Cheadle, are either fired or removed from their current positions. This agency needs to change. If not now, when? The next assassination attempt in 30 days? Because we should all expect another attempt to happen before November. We've exposed our inability to protect our leaders due to our leadership. The technicians who worked on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, did their jobs with their hands tied. Secret Service supervisors knew better, and the foot soldiers working made the best of a bad situation that resulted in a civilian death and a near miss of the protectee and our technician shooting and killing the suspect. I know many look at the CS team, which is the counter sniper team, as guys who sit on the roof and don't do much, but our responsibility, our mission is not about protecting an empty White House located at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It's about preventing and stopping another JFK-style assassination in whatever city that might be. Sadly, we have fallen short for years. We just got lucky and looked good doing it. I have conveyed these thoughts to not only supervisors, to include the current captain within the counter sniper team, but those responsible for training us, only to be brushed off as if those with less experience somehow knew more than me. The team I was once proud to be a part of is something I have now somehow to hide. The team I was once proud to be a part of is something I have to now somehow hide as I move into my next career. Who wants to hire a United States Secret Service counter sniper guy who failed? That's the public perception I'm now faced with. The United States Secret Service counter sniper team is a stain I will never be able to cleanse. Some of us take our jobs and responsibilities seriously, deadly serious. I may be overzealous, but after 7 years in the Marine Corps as an NCO and 20 plus years on the United States Secret Service counter sniper team, failure is not an option. And on July 13th, we failed. Not because of commitment or sense of dedication, but because our supervisors, aka leadership, knew better and thought our concerns were less than important. The motto of the United States Secret Service is CYA, so cover your ass, and every supervisor is doing it right now. So this email was deleted from the server so that it couldn't get out to a lot of people, but it leaked out, and here it is. He was asked about it during today's hearings, and he just said, this email hurt him. It hurt. He said, our agency's hurting. We're all hurting. This hurt. I want to hear this person out. I want to listen to their concerns. I mean, it was just, look, I think he lays out his concerns pretty well. I don't think you actually need to hear anything more. I think that the point of this is there's a lot of low-level guys at the Secret Service, and we saw them on that day scrambling around, the men and the women that were trying to protect Donald Trump, scrambling around, not knowing what they were doing, clearly understaffed, and they are taking the fall. He's not wrong when he says, who wants to hire a United States Secret Service counter sniper guy? Who wants to hire somebody from the United States Secret Service after this major failure? These guys' careers, all of them that were there that day, are screwed. And they're screwed unless the leadership actually takes the fall. If the leadership gets laid off, if the blame is pinned directly on the leadership, and it's not that, oh, the Secret Service guys are just untrained, unprepared, and maybe that is the case. And maybe that, again, is the leadership's fault, that some of these guys that are very trained are having to take the fall and lose their careers, and their careers are stained because leadership has decided to hire untrained people or to worry about whether or not a protectee is going to have counter snipers based on the driving distance to the event. I mean, these are all things that we're not talking about the Secret Service and the failure of this event. I mean, we're talking about individuals' lives who are counting on these jobs. They count on these reputations, and now they're all kind of screwed. You know, they took these jobs, they did their best, and now they're kind of all screwed. And he's right. Leadership's got to take the fall. And that started with Director Kimberly Cheadle, Good. She needed to take the fall. And this guy does too. If it turns out, as the reports are, that he was directly responsible in limiting the amount of detail for Donald Trump at that event, the guy's got to go. Plain and simple. The guy's got to go. Hey guys, this was just a clip of a longer show. Catch the full show by going to KimIversonShow.com. It is free. It airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. You could go back now and watch this full interview. I highly recommend it. Again, go to KimIversonShow.com. Thank you so much for watching.